Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood phrases in dating and relationships. Nice guys. You've heard it 1,000 times. Women don't like nice guys. But what does that actually mean? Are women really rejecting kindness, respect, and decency? Or is there something deeper going on that most men completely miss? Today, I'm going to break this down for you in a way that's going to challenge how you see yourself, how you show up in relationships, and why the word nice has been killing your chances without you even realizing it. Here's the truth. Women don't dislike kindness. What they can't stand is weakness. And unfortunately, most so-called nice guys confuse being agreeable and always accommodating with being a man of real value. They think saying yes to everything, never standing their ground, and always putting her needs before theirs will win love and respect. But in reality, it creates the exact opposite. It creates resentment, boredom, and a lack of attraction. Women don't respect men who don't respect themselves. So when you hear the phrase, women don't like nice guys, don't take it at face value. It doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. It doesn't mean you should treat women poorly. It means you need to stop hiding behind politeness, stop suppressing your true thoughts, and stop believing that people-pleasing is the path to connection. Real attraction comes from strength, self-respect, and a man's willingness to be authentic, even if it risks disapproval. If you've ever found yourself wondering why being too nice has left you ignored, rejected, or taken advantage of, this video is for you. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to dig deep into why nice guys finish last and how to finally break free from that trap. Before we start the video, I want to remind you that my exclusive online course on mastering the dating game is available now. If you've been learning from my YouTube videos, you're only scratching the surface. This course goes deeper, teaching you everything you need to know about the dating game, from approaching a woman to building real attraction. We just finished section 5 in the course, and you won't find this information on videos on my channel. It's easy to access with a secure payment option. Visit stoicapproachtolife.podia.com or click the link in the description to enroll now and improve your dating life. 1. Why being too nice is a trap. Most men don't realize how destructive the nice guy mentality really is. On the surface, it seems harmless. You tell yourself that being nice is what women want, so you go out of your way to always agree, always be available, and always put her needs before your own. It feels like you're doing the right thing. But deep down, you're not being nice because it's who you are. You're doing it because you're hoping it will get you something in return. That's the trap. The nice guy doesn't show up as his true self. He hides his real thoughts when he disagrees because he's afraid she won't like him. He swallows his frustration when she crosses a line because he doesn't want to lose her. He thinks that by constantly proving how good, how sweet, and how accommodating he is, she'll reward him with love, attention, and respect. But that reward never comes. In fact, the opposite happens. The more you try to win a woman's approval by being too nice, the more she starts to see you as weak, predictable, and unworthy of respect. Think about it. Women don't want a man who exists just to serve them. They want a man who has his own life, his own backbone, and his own standards. When you're too nice, you strip yourself of all the qualities that create attraction: mystery, confidence, and authority. You become a background character in her story instead of the main character in your own. And once she senses that your niceness is driven by fear rather than strength, she'll start testing you, pushing boundaries, and eventually losing interest. This trap runs deeper than just dating. Nice guys live their whole lives controlled by the need for approval. They say yes to things they don't want to do, they take on more than they can handle, and they avoid conflict at all costs. They think they're keeping the peace, but really they're just burying themselves under resentment. And women can feel it. They can feel when a man has no edge, no boundaries, no fire in him. Escaping the nice guy trap starts with realizing that being agreeable is not the same as being respected. Respect comes from standing firm, from knowing who you are, and from refusing to bend just to make someone else happy. When you stop being too nice, you start reclaiming your masculinity. You stop trying to buy love with compliance and start building attraction with authenticity. That's when women begin to see you differently, not as a doormat, but as a man they can admire, respect, and desire. 2. The difference between kindness and weakness. One of the biggest mistakes men make is confusing kindness with weakness. They believe that being endlessly polite, constantly agreeable, and always putting someone else's needs before their own is the ultimate form of kindness. But women don't see it that way. In fact, when your so-called kindness is really just fear of conflict or desperation for approval, it doesn't come across as genuine, it comes across as weakness. And weakness kills attraction. Let's be clear, kindness is not the problem. A man who is strong, confident, and grounded can be incredibly kind and generous, and women will love him for it. Why? Because his kindness comes from a place of abundance. He's not giving to get something in return. He's not being kind to manipulate or to be liked. He's kind because it's a genuine expression of who he is, not because he's afraid of what might happen if he says no. That's the key difference. Weakness, on the other hand, is when you're kind because you don't want to upset her. It's when you hold back your real thoughts because you're terrified of rejection. It's when you let her walk all over your boundaries because you think it's the only way to keep her around. That isn't kindness, it's self-abandonment. And the problem with weakness is that women can spot it instantly. They can feel when a man has no backbone. They can feel when his smile hides fear, and when his yes is just an attempt to avoid confrontation. What's interesting is that women will often test men to see if they can tell the difference. She might push your limits, not because she wants to control you, but because she wants to see if you'll actually stand up for yourself. When you don't, she loses respect. But when you calmly and confidently assert yourself, she feels safer with you. That's the paradox. The man who risks saying no, the man who risks her being upset, is the man she actually trusts more. So the question becomes, are you being kind because it's your genuine nature? Or are you being nice because you're scared of rocking the boat? A confident man can open doors, pay compliments, or listen deeply without fear of being taken advantage of because his self-worth doesn't depend on her reaction. But the weak man bends, folds, and molds himself into whatever he thinks will please her, and in doing so, he loses the very respect he's chasing. Women don't dislike kindness. They dislike weakness masquerading as kindness. And the sooner you separate the two, the sooner you'll stop playing the role of the nice guy and start living as a man who's both respected and desired. 3. How niceness kills attraction. If you've ever wondered why the girl you liked lost interest after you did everything right, this is where the answer lies. Niceness, at least the way most men practice it, kills attraction. Not because women hate good treatment, but because what many men call being nice is actually predictable, needy, and unchallenging. And attraction does not survive in a space where there is no tension, no spark, and no sense of unpredictability. Think about it. Attraction is fueled by contrast. A woman wants to feel the thrill of being around a man who knows who he is, who carries himself with confidence, and who isn't afraid to disagree, tease, or stand firm when necessary. When you're too nice, you remove all that contrast. You flatten the experience. She knows you'll always agree, always comply, always be available, and that kills the emotional excitement she craves. It's not that women want drama, they want energy. They want to feel that when they're with you, they're with a man who can challenge them, who can stand shoulder to shoulder with them, and who won't disappear into the background. But when you spend all your energy proving how nice you are, you come across as desperate. Desperation never attracts, it repels. This is why women often say, "I like him, but only as a friend." What they really mean is that there's no spark. Your niceness makes you safe but not exciting, comfortable but not desirable. She may even appreciate your efforts, but she won't feel the pull of attraction. That's why you'll see women gravitating toward men who are less accommodating but more confident. It's not about them being jerks, it's about them being unapologetically themselves, which is something too nice men rarely allow themselves to be. The education here is simple. Attraction requires polarity. If you're always trying to be agreeable, you erase polarity. Women respect men who create boundaries, who aren't afraid of saying no, and who bring their authentic energy into the interaction. When a man doesn't do this, when he hides behind endless politeness, he may think he's building a connection, but he's actually draining it. So, if you've ever felt like your niceness backfired, now you know why. It wasn't that you were kind, it's that your version of nice was suffocating. You didn't leave room for curiosity, challenge, or respect. You played it so safe that you killed the very excitement that makes a woman want to be close to you. Attraction thrives on strength, authenticity, and a little bit of unpredictability. That's why being too nice will always kill it. Women want to feel like they're with a man, not a servant. And when you understand that, you'll finally stop confusing niceness with connection and start creating the kind of attraction that lasts. 4. Boundaries. The key to earning respect. Let's talk about boundaries. Every healthy relationship has them, but most men, especially those trapped in the nice guy mindset, either don't set boundaries at all or set them so weakly that they collapse at the first pushback. And when you fail to set boundaries, you fail to earn respect. Attraction may draw her in at first, but it's respect that keeps her there. Imagine this scenario. John has been dating Sarah for 6 months. He's crazy about her and doesn't want to lose her. One night she cancels on him last minute to go out with her friends. John feels disappointed, even a little frustrated, but he doesn't say anything. Instead he says, "No problem, have fun." The next week she does it again. And again he swallows his frustration and pretends it's fine. But here's the thing. Sarah can feel his frustration under the surface. She knows he's upset, but since he won't address it, she begins to lose respect for him. Not because she went out with her friends, but because John doesn't have the backbone to express his standards. Now imagine the same scenario with a different outcome. Sarah cancels again, and this time John calmly says, "Listen, I understand you want to see your friends, but I don't like being cancelled on last minute. If you want to spend time together, let's plan it properly." Notice something. John didn't yell, he didn't threaten to leave, and he didn't try to control her. He simply communicated a boundary. By doing that, he sent a powerful message. He values his own time and he won't tolerate being treated like an afterthought. And here's the twist. Sarah respects him more for it. She might be annoyed in the moment, but deep down she knows she's with a man who knows his worth. This is the essence of boundaries. They're not about controlling someone else, they're about respecting yourself. Women are naturally drawn to men who know where their line is and who aren't afraid to enforce it. It shows strength. It shows certainty. It shows that you don't need her approval to stand firm. And paradoxically, that's what makes her feel safe with you. When you don't set boundaries, you're essentially saying, "I'll accept whatever treatment you give me as long as you don't leave." That is weakness. And weakness always destroys attraction. But when you set clear boundaries, you say, "This is who I am, this is what I expect, and if that doesn't work for you, I'll be fine." That confidence is magnetic. If you've ever wondered why women sometimes pull away from men who seem perfect, this is often the reason. A man with no boundaries is a man with no edge. And without that edge, there's no respect. And without respect, there's no lasting attraction. 5. Authenticity over approval. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is trading authenticity for approval. Instead of speaking their truth, they water down their words, soften their opinions, or flat out lie just to keep a woman happy. On the surface, it might feel like you're keeping the peace. But in reality, you're slowly destroying attraction. Women don't respect men who constantly bend to keep them comfortable. They respect men who stand firm in their truth, even if it ruffles a few feathers. Let's start with the wrongs. Suppose a woman asks, "Do you mind if I hang out with my ex? We're just friends." The wrong response, driven by fear, would be, Yeah, that's fine. I totally trust you. Deep down, you hate the idea, but you're terrified that saying no will make her angry or push her away. Another wrong move is when she asks, "What do you want to do tonight?" And you respond, "Whatever you want, I don't mind." Or when she tests your patience and you say, "It's okay, it doesn't bother me," when in reality, it does. These aren't small mistakes. They're signs that you're prioritizing approval over authenticity. And every time you do that, she feels the weakness behind your words. Now let's flip it and look at the right way to handle these moments. When she brings up hanging out with her ex, the authentic response might be, "Honestly, I'm not comfortable with that. If we're building something serious, I expect clear boundaries." When she asks what you want to do, instead of dodging, you say, "Let's go try that new spot downtown. I've been wanting to check it out." And when she crosses a line, instead of pretending it's fine, you calmly say, "I don't like when you speak to me that way. If we're going to make this work, respect has to go both ways." Notice something important here. The authentic responses aren't aggressive, controlling, or dramatic. They're firm, clear, and rooted in self-respect. That's what women are drawn to. They want a man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't hide his real feelings, and who doesn't hand over his power just to avoid conflict. The trap of seeking approval is subtle but deadly. You think you're keeping her, but what you're really doing is pushing her away, because no woman wants to be with a man who can't be real. Authenticity, on the other hand, is risky. You might upset her, you might even lose her. But here's the paradox. That very risk is what makes her respect you more. At the end of the day, women would rather deal with a man who says what he means, even if it stings, than a man who hides behind fake niceness. Authenticity builds trust, and trust is the foundation of lasting attraction. Approval seeking destroys both. 6. The role of confidence and masculinity. Confidence and masculinity are two traits that women instinctively respond to, yet they are also the two things most nice guys lack. And I don't mean masculinity in the shallow sense of being loud, aggressive, or trying to dominate. True masculinity is about certainty, strength, and direction. When it's combined with confidence, it creates an energy that women can feel the moment you walk into a room. Here's why this matters. Women want to feel that the man they're with knows who he is and where he's going. Confidence communicates that without a single word. It shows in the way you stand, the way you speak, and the way you handle challenges. Masculinity isn't about being controlling, it's about leading yourself and taking responsibility for your life. And when a woman sees that in you, it creates an automatic sense of respect and attraction. The opposite of this is what happens to most nice guys. They're hesitant, unsure, and constantly second-guessing themselves. They ask for permission to take the lead. They avoid making decisions, and they crumble under pressure. Think about how that feels for a woman. If she senses that you can't even handle your own emotions, how could she ever trust you to handle the pressures of life or a relationship? Attraction isn't just about looks, it's about energy. And when your energy is weak, you kill the spark before it even begins. Now, confidence doesn't mean arrogance. Arrogance is loud insecurity. True confidence is quiet strength. It's when you can make decisions without overthinking, when you can listen without feeling threatened, and when you can stand your ground without raising your voice. For example, a confident man doesn't say, "I hope this is okay with you," every time he makes a plan. Instead, he says, "Let's go here tonight, I think you'll love it." That decisiveness doesn't take away her freedom, it makes her feel secure in your leadership. Masculinity also shows up in how you respond to challenges. A nice guy avoids conflict because he's terrified of rejection. A confident man doesn't go looking for fights, but he won't run from them either. He knows when to compromise, but he also knows when to stand firm. That balance of strength and composure is what makes women trust him, because they can feel he's not going to fold under pressure. And here's the real lesson. Women don't just want a man to be nice, they want a man they can respect. Respect comes from confidence and masculinity. It's about walking into a situation with calm authority, being decisive without being controlling, and showing strength without being harsh. When you embody that, you stop being the nice guy who fades into the background, and you become the man she can't stop thinking about. 7. How to transform from nice guy to high value man. So far, we've exposed the problems of being a nice guy, the weakness, the approval seeking, the lack of boundaries, and the way it kills attraction. But the real question is, how do you change it? How do you move from being the man who's overlooked, taken for granted, or just a friend, to becoming the man women respect, desire, and pursue? The answer lies in transforming yourself into a high-value man. A high-value man doesn't beg for attention. He commands it by the way he lives. He doesn't live to please others. He sets his standards and lives by them unapologetically. Transformation starts with mindset. Instead of asking, what do I need to do to make her like me? You start asking, what do I need to do to build myself into a man I admire? That simple shift pulls you out of desperation and into power. One of the first steps is building self-respect. Stop saying yes to things you don't want to do. Stop allowing people to cross your boundaries without consequences. Start valuing your time and energy the same way you value hers. When you do that, you automatically carry yourself differently because you know you're not here to be used. You're here to be respected. Another part of the transformation is purpose. Nice guys often make women the center of their world, and that's why they lose. A high-value man has his own mission, his own goals, his own life outside of her. He's passionate about his work, his growth, and his future. That passion is magnetic. When a woman sees a man who's driven, who wakes up with direction, she can't help but admire him, and that admiration naturally turns into attraction. Confidence is also non-negotiable. If you've spent years playing it safe, it's time to step into discomfort. Confidence is built by doing the things you're afraid of, speaking up when you disagree, making decisions without hesitation, and taking risks even when you might fail. The more you do this, the more your energy shifts from timid to powerful, and women can feel it instantly. Finally, you must embrace authenticity. Stop hiding behind fake smiles and empty compliments. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If she doesn't like it, that's fine. You're not here to be everyone's cup of tea. When you show up as your true self, you filter out the women who don't respect you and attract the ones who do. The transformation from nice guy to high-value man isn't about becoming cold or arrogant. It's about reclaiming your strength, your direction, and your authenticity. When you do, women won't just notice you. They'll respect you, admire you, and chase you. Because high-value men don't beg for approval, they inspire desire. At the end of the day, women don't reject kindness, they reject weakness. Being a nice guy is really about giving up your power, hiding your true self, and begging for approval. But when you set boundaries, embrace authenticity, and step into confidence and masculinity, you shift from being overlooked to being respected and desired. Stop trying to earn love by being agreeable, and start building attraction by being real. Remember, a high-value man doesn't chase validation. He lives by his standards, and women naturally follow. Thanks for watching, and welcome again to the channel. And remember, if you're serious about mastering the dating game, don't miss out on my exclusive online course. We go beyond what's covered in these videos, giving you powerful insights from the first approach to lasting attraction. It's easy to enroll with a secure payment option. Visit stoicapproachtolife.podia.com or simply click the link in the description to secure your spot. Don't wait until it's too late. Take action now and start transforming your dating life today. I want to especially appreciate you for taking your time to watch till the end of this video. I hope the video helps you improve every aspect of your relationship with women. Until next time, this is Stoic Approach to Life.